call for 83 Royal Gardens. Somebody give me a time for the pickup. Stand by 67, we'll have another job for you shortly. Calling all cars, time for pickup at 83 Royal Gardens. First call for 83 Royal Gardens. Somebody give me a time. Can you do it, car 23?
It was either car 67 by driver 67 or the other way around. I never remember, but I picked that one out from all of the other records that I played in all those programs years and years ago, because I don't suffer fools gladly, and I tended to have a go at them on the wireless, sometimes with very good results, really. But I had a go at the taxi drivers in Sheffield, because half of them didn't know where they were going. I once got a taxi when I lived in Ford. I got a taxi. I said, Radio Hallam, please. And I was reading the paper, seeing if I could find anything out of it. And 20 minutes later, we drew up outside BBC Radio Sheffield. And it was only about 5 minutes to go before I was meant to be on Radio Hallam. And I said, this is Radio Sheffield. He said, oh, I thought they were one and the same thing. And that is not good enough, is it? And then they didn't know where they were going. I once got a taxi, and I said, could you take me something, like Grosvenor House or somewhere? And he said, where is it? And it infuriated me. I said, well, don't you live in Sheffield? He said, no, I live in Leeds, but I come over here because I make more money. He didn't know anything, and so I had a real go at the taxis, as I did, peasantry, you might remember, at the buses. I mean, sometimes they were filthy dirty. They were so dirty you couldn't see where they were going on the front. You know, it could have been 5187 or anything, and you couldn't see because they were so dirty. I had a go at them, and then they played right into my hands. Do you remember? This was well after the early days of Hallam, but I was waiting at the bus stop in Broom Hill, and down, and I thought, you've had a few, dearest, because down came a Derbyshire Corporation blue and grey bus. Now, nobody told me about these, and I thought, you're seeing things. And it turned out that there was some kind of, possibly a strike, I don't know. I promised the bus people only yesterday that I wouldn't knock them again. But there was something which meant that they had to get buses from different places, but they didn't tell us. And I thought, well, isn't that strange? Because in a matter of weeks, I saw a blue and white Hull City bus, a Derbyshire Corporation blue and grey bus, a Nottingham City Transport green and cream, Greater Manchester, 2 lots of them. We were given an orange and white and an orange and brown. Then we had West Riding Automobile Company, which were red. East Midlands we had. It was wonderful. It was kind of Spot the Bus week. Spot the Bus week we had, and it was all great fun. But I imagined, and I said this on the air, that they should cover up the name, because can you imagine some poor Spaniard who arrived at Sheffield Station, not knowing much English, and he got out with his suitcase, and there outside he saw a bus which said Bristol City Transport. I mean, it wasn't kind, was it, to the peasantry? So I said, at least you could cover up the names and put on loan to South Yorkshire Passenger Transport, which they did. So that was fun. That kept me going for a couple of months. And what else? Yeah, shoot a bird. Oh, dear. Some of you have no sense of humour. I lived in Broom Hill. No, Crooks, somewhere up there. And I love living in the top, in the attic, because you can make so much more of an attic with paint and things, the sloping roofs. And so I lived in this attic, and I don't know what the previous owner had done, but I think he fed pigeons on the windowsill. And every morning during the summer, about 4 o'clock, I used to get, coo, coo. That's meant to be a pigeon. Percy Thrower might not agree, but that's the best I can do. Coo, coo, at 4 o'clock, and it went on and on. And I used to get up and clap my hands, and they flew away. And the moment I got back into bed, back they came. Ooh, I'm getting better at the pigeons as we're going on. Ooh, ooh. And so I was fed up with it. So I came roaring into Sheffield, Radio Hallam, And I said, we're starting a kill a bird, or was it shoot a bird? Kill a bird, I think. Kill a bird a day week. Because at the time they'd had all these, cancer weeks and keep death off the road week and all and keep stopping dogs doing things on the pavement week. I thought we'll have a kill a bird a day week. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Birds were going to take me to court. They had no... I went out later on, and I didn't see any people walking up and down Market Street or High Street or any, round the cathedral with shotguns and firearms. Everybody said, I quite agree, they're a nuisance, birds are. Anyway, they were going to take me to court. So I said, please don't go and shoot. Oh, dear, dear, dear. We shall have some music. What shall we have? Says he, having completely forgotten. Oh, yes. This is kind of possible, because I'm about as thick as Rupert Holmes in this. He was stupid, wasn't he, when you think of it, Rupert Holmes. He's as thick as two planks. There he was, cigarettes beside the bed, but they weren't his, he didn't smoke and things. What's she going to do about him? It's what she was going to do about him, not the other him that mattered. I used to enjoy that. We'll enjoy... Oh, you remember Iris and Kath? Kath and Iris were an assistant head of catering. Iris is gone. Kath's still here, and she acknowledged me. I curtsied to her, as usual, this morning when I came in. And Iris has gone. Iris retired. And I rang her the other day just to see how she was. And she said, Iris Hill? And I said, hello, Iris. And she said, they're very nice, these Shackleton chairs, especially when you've got rheumatism. My niece bought me that. I said, okay. Talking of commercials.
24 hours a day is Hallam. And there's much stuff and the night and love gets kids on the ground and smoke goes dark and now he takes his brush and he waits outside and curly to paint his much stuff round and the
That was another one of mine, which people said wouldn't climb. I have a taste for some things. I don't think it was very good, but I can feel the pulse sometimes of the listening public, and I thought that would get somewhere, and it did. I think it got to either 1 or 2, something like that. Brian and Michael and Matchstick Men and Matchstick Cats and Dogs. Right, I said at the beginning that Johnny Moran made himself head of motor racing, and I made myself head of Royal Broadcasts. And we had Queen coming at 2 and on. Now we come to the real one. I'm useless at dates, but Her Majesty and the Duke of Edinburgh, accompanied by various people, decided to come to Sheffield. I can't think what they came. Anyway, they went to the Cutlers Hall and Brenda Ellison. I haven't mentioned her really because she's doing another programme in this mini-series, Remembering Things, and she possibly will remember that. But we got down to the Midland Station, and Brenda had not done royal broadcasts before, and I had. And I told Brenda one thing. We got everything off. She'd learnt everything, because she was going to describe the Queen's dress. And I said, Brenda, one thing you must remember. You don't stand up for the national anthem. Doesn't matter. The Queen can walk straight, and they're playing the national anthem. You don't stand up, because if you're working, the Queen understands that. The newspaper people who are sitting down writing things, they don't stand up. That is understandable. You might feel, when everybody else, all these military people, stand up for the national anthem, and the Queen kind of looks at you, she knows, she understands, because you might have a short lead on your earphones into some plug or something, and if you stand up, it'll pull your head off. She understands that, so don't stand up when they play the national anthem, because it's difficult. And I told her, if you're describing the Queen's dress. Now, you can look at the Queen, but watch the band, and you'll see when and you should stop talking when they play the national anthem. You don't talk. And with practice, which she hadn't had, I think she went home and played the national anthem all night, you know. I said, you can watch when they're going to play the national, you can watch the bandmaster, he'll count them in. And you come to an end, dead on. But whatever you're doing, stop when the national anthem. So that went by. And we've outdug, or dug out, rather, a little piece. I don't think Brenda's on this, but this was the first of many royal visits to Sheffield. Outside the Cutler's Hall here in Sheffield, the clock on the cathedral says about 10 minutes past 9. The cathedral is floodlit, and now the police are holding back the crowd who are said to be anti-royalist. And now, preceded by a police car, much slower than it was earlier, the royal car draws up. The doors are open. It is the same open Rolls Royce with no number. But who needs a number when you're Your Majesty the Queen? The Queen is wearing blue. I can say very little else. She is wearing a tiara and she's wearing a pale blue dress. The Duke of Edinburgh, dressed in evening dress. She is now accompanied by the Honourable Mary Morrison, Lady-in-Waiting, and so many civic dignitaries that it's impossible to describe. Her Majesty and the Duke of Edinburgh are met inside by the Lord Lieutenant of South Yorkshire, Mr. Gerard Young. More cars. And so it went on and on. I don't know what happened to Brenda then. In fact, looking back, I can't remember exactly what it was all about at 10 past 9 or something. I don't think that was the first visit. It might have been, but we must have lost Brenda somewhere along the way, because I pathetically tried to describe what the Queen was wearing. But on that occasion, everything was cordoned off, and we started off at the Midland Station, and then we had to be by the town hall, where we'd kind of got a special window. And as we couldn't get there by car, we had to run, literally run from the station to just outside the town hall. And then we went up about 4 floors, and I hung almost virtually by my feet. They were holding my feet so I could see and describe it. And I don't like heights. Anyway, I'm not quite sure when that was. It must have been sometime during that day.